WADR. Promoting dialogue.
Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Côte d'Ivoire's Electoral Commission releases provisional list of 60 registered candidates ahead of October presidential polls. Nigeria's National Executive Council approves $1 trillion renewed Hope economic plan,
which is a 30-year plan named Agenda 2050, was approved for the country. It was drawn up by the private sector, public sector, civil society organization, and traditional rulers.
African Trade Union Confederation calls for debt cancellation petitions after Secretariat.
Africa is drowning in debt. More than half of African countries are already in or high risk of debt distress in many states.
And Liberia's Chief Justice orders nationwide credentials audit of court employees. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. Let's begin this evening in Côte d'Ivoire, where the Independent Electoral Commission (IEC) has closed the submission phase for candidacy applications for the October 2025 presidential election. This operation, which began tensely, ultimately resulted in a good harvest. So far, 60 people are vying for the presidential seat in Côte d'Ivoire. Abdullah Hassan has more details in this report.
As the deadline for submitting candidacy applications closes, the tally shows 60 applicants have been registered, including that of incumbent President Alassane Ouattara, who is seeking a fourth term. Notable names like Jean-Louis Bion, Pascal Affi Nguesson, Tijan Cham, Simon Ehive Gbagbo, and Laurent Gbagbo were also visible on the list. This list includes both expected and unexpected names. Many have emerged from nowhere to express their desire to run for the highest office. According to some, this demonstrates the vitality of the Ivorian democracy. Two notable names, Guillaume Soro and Charles Blé Goudé, were not visible on the list of provisional candidates. While they had all announced their candidacies, the former president of the National Assembly and Laurent Gbagbo's former right-hand man ultimately did not submit their applications. Both were removed from the electoral roll, but they decided not to push the issue and to stay away. Both were removed from the electoral roll, but they decided not to push the issue and to stay away. Tijan Cham and Laurent Gbagbo have both submitted their candidacy applications. This demonstrates their determination to see things through despite being removed from the electoral roll. Barring a political miracle, both applications will be rejected by the election officials. Tension, however, remains high as the final list will be determined by the Constitutional Court.
Abdullah Hassan filed the report. In the meantime, ECOWAS ministers of defense and finance are meeting in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, to examine the sustainable financing of its standby force, a key instrument in the fight against terrorism in West Africa. The meeting follows expert analysis as 3 Sahelian countries have withdrawn from the organization. The 3-day meeting, which started on the 27th to Friday, 29 August 2025, examined a detailed report prepared by experts which proposed different options for resource mobilization, including adjustments to the community levy mechanism and the recovery of unpaid contributions by certain states. Augustine Kohli completes the story.
The ministers noted on Friday that available resources remain insufficient to make the force fully operational and meet the urgent security needs of the region. This step is in line with ECOWAS' strategic decisions following the definition in July 2025 of the training methods for the military, police, and civilian components of the force, integrating respect for human rights, gender integration, and conflict prevention. The meeting also follows the recommendations of the ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff of August 2024 and the work of February 2025 in Abuja, aimed at strengthening the logistical and operational capabilities necessary for effective and sustainable peace operations. The meeting comes as 3 Sahelian countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, officially withdrew from ECOWAS, criticizing the organization for its alleged inaction in the face of jihadist attacks and accusing it of being manipulated by France. ECOWAS plans to reach a strength of 5,000 troops, including a priority counter-terrorism brigade of 1,650 soldiers. This initiative is part of the broader framework of regional cooperation in continuity with the Accra Initiative and the Multinational Joint Task Force in the Lake Chad Basin, and aims to ensure a rapid response to crisis, strengthen stability in West Africa, and guarantee collective security, including shared responsibility, pillars of Vision 2050 for an integrated, peaceful and resilient region.
Augustine Coley filed a report. Meanwhile, Nigeria's National Economic Council, NEC, has unveiled the framework for the Renewed Hope Development Plan 2026 to 2030, aimed at consolidating Nigeria's reform agenda and actualizing the $1 trillion economy targeted by the administration of President Bola Tinubu. This was part of the resolutions reached at the 151st meeting of the Council chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa Abuja. Briefing State House correspondent shortly after the meeting, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, said the proposed plan, codenamed Renewed Hope National Plan, was part of a 30-year development plan which would ensure inclusivity and accelerated growth. He said the new National Development Plan will build on existing policies, deepen continuity and align Nigeria's growth trajectory with the long-term goals of Nigeria Agenda 2050.
The background is that in the year 2020, a perspective plan, which is a 30-year plan named Agenda 2050, was approved for the country. It was drawn up by the private sector, public sector, civil society organization, and traditional rulers, political parties, and all shades of opinion reflect the fact that it is a national plan. The 30-year perspective plan provides that 6 5-year medium-term plans will be developed in its implementation, the first being 2021 to 2025, which is expiring by December this year. So the Council was informed about this development and the need to support the development of the second medium-term plan 2026 to 2030 to be named Renewed Hope Plan for 2026-2030. This will ensure policy continuity, consolidate ongoing reforms, and respond to emerging socio-economic challenges. It will also help in providing a coherent framework to accelerate job creation, improve human capital, expand sustainable infrastructure, enhance food security, and strengthen social protection. The Renewed Hope Plan 2026 to 2030 will serve as a bridge between current reform momentum and the long-term aspirations of Nigeria's Agenda 2050.
That was Nigeria's Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu. While staying in Nigeria, citizens are reacting to the federal government's decision to double the cost of obtaining international passports. The new fees announced by the Nigeria Immigration Service are set to take effect on September 1. Our correspondent Usman Umar reports.
From the 1st of September 2025, the cost of obtaining a Nigerian passport will rise sharply. A 32-page passport will now cost 100,000 naira or $66, while the 64-page booklet will be issued at 200,000 naira or $133. The announcement represents a 100% increase from the old fees, a decision that is stirring strong reactions across the country.
I haven't seen a Nigerian person who is going to buy food now will come and start thinking of 100,000 for just 32 pages of a passport.
A passport for 100,000, 32 pages for some Nigerians, they will not even be able to use it.
For me, largely, I think it's because of the economic reality. To be fair to them, everything is high up there. It's a reasonable increment for me.
While many Nigerians say the hike is unfair and insensitive, authorities argue the review will improve service delivery and reduce corruption in passport processing. Migration expert Osato Mary Igbinoson, who is the executive director of Migration Moments with May, says the policy could have far-reaching consequences.
This passport should not be a luxury because it is a lifeline for so many persons, for young Nigerians seeking opportunities abroad, for women and men hoping for a better future, and for returnees even trying to rebuild their lives. This passport is the first and most essential step for everyone who hopes to migrate abroad. Repeated increments in passport fees risk pushing citizens towards irregular options, undermining Nigerians' commitment to save orderly and regular migration.
For now, the debate continues as citizens brace for the new charges that will take effect in just a few days. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Leaders from the ITUC Africa and TUC Ghana delivered a formal petition to the AFTA Secretariat on Friday urgent action for debt cancellation and fair trade policies. The petition, part of a broader Pan-African movement, was received by a senior advisor to the Secretariat's Secretary General Albert Kandapa Jr. This action coincides with a Pan-African rally in Accra on August 29, 2025, convened under the theme Africa Rises, Pan-African Rally for Debts Cancellation and Trade Justice. The protests, supported by ITUC Africa, TUC Ghana, civil society organizations, youth, faith and women's group, aim to confront the neo-colonial debt burdens impeding Africa's development. Key demands from the petition and rally include debt cancellation as a matter of reparative justice, as well as ensuring workers and trade unions are formally included in AFTA's governance structures to prevent jobless growth and rising inequality.
Write to you as host of this continental mobilization to transmit Africa's unified demand to all creditors. Cancel Africa's debt now as an act of reparative justice. Africa is drowning in debt. More than half of African countries are already in or high risk of debt distress in many states. Debt service consumes over 50% of government revenues, leaving governments unable to finance essential services such as healthcare, education, wages, and social protection. In Ghana, Zambia, Kenya, and beyond, debt repayments have repeatedly outstripped social spending. This is not just a financial challenge, it is a human development and democratic crisis. The current debt system reflects deep historical and structural injustices. Africa continues to pay the price for colonial extraction, unfair trade and tax rules, and the manipulation of financial markets by creditor institutions. Illicit financial flows of over $90 billion annually drain resources that could have been built schools, hospitals, and industries. Credit rating biases, predatory voucher funds, and austerity-driven IMF and World Bank programs further entrench dependency, and for this reason, debt cancellation must be recognized.
Mike John is ITUC representative. In the meantime, authorities in Mauritania say at least 812 migrants have been rescued in its waters since June after 5 boats bound for Europe got onto distress. Migrant vessels are increasingly departing from Guinea in efforts to avoid detection on the dangerous Atlantic route to Spain's Canary Islands. The route has become a major corridor for sub-Saharan migration over the past decades. Christopher Ticho has the details.
The latest tragedy concerns 17 men, 11 Senegalese and 6 Gambians, who survived after a migrant boat capsized off the Mauritanian coast on Wednesday evening. The survivors swam for more than an hour before being spotted by a Coast Guard patrol north of the port of Tannet, about 80 kilometers from Nouakchott. According to their account, the canoe had left Gambia 6 days earlier with around 160 people on board when the engines failed. The smugglers sent a rescue canoe from Mauritania. But during the transfer of the broken engine, panic broke out. Passengers gripped the rescue boat, causing the vessel to capsize. Authorities in Mauritania say rescue efforts have been underway since Wednesday night, involving 2 shuttles from Tannet and patrol boat from Nouakchott. However, by Friday afternoon, 69 bodies have been recovered. Videos filmed by Senegalese nationals in Mauritania show bodies washed up on the beach. Identity papers belonging to a man from Touba, Senegal, was also found.
Christopher Ticho with that report. Elsewhere, the Malian government has adopted a revised budget for 2025, prioritizing defense and security amid the postponement of elections. More than 157.1 billion civil francs have been reallocated to security operations in the country, strengthening the capabilities of the armed forces and security services. However, experts have been questioning the effectiveness of the fight against insecurity in the country as the challenges still persist. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Côte d'Ivoire's Electoral Commission releases provisional list of 60 registered candidates ahead of October presidential polls. Nigeria's National Executive Council approves $1 trillion renewed hope economic plan. African Trade Union Confederation calls for debt cancellation petitions after secretariat. And still ahead in the news, Liberia's Chief Justice orders nationwide credentials audit of court employees. We do have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, you can listen to us live on wadr.org and follow live streamings on YouTube and Facebook. Now, the Bank of Ghana has announced new guidelines governing the importation and exportation of foreign currencies as part of enhanced anti-money laundering measures. The directive, which takes effect on September 1, 2025, affects all travelers entering or leaving the country as well as importers. Nadi Tete reports.
The Bank of Ghana has issued a notice tightening regulations on the transportation of foreign currency in and out of the country. Under the new guidelines, travelers are permitted to carry up to $10,000 or its equivalent in foreign currency and monetary instrument without declaration. However, amounts exceeding this threshold must be fully declared using the official currency declaration form FX5 from the Ghana Revenue Authority, stating the source and purpose of the funds. Inbound travelers carrying more than $10,000 are required to show proof of declaration from their port of origin, while outbound travelers with funds above $50,000 must present supporting documents such as endorsed Foreign Exchange Bureau receipts, endorsed bank slips, and import documentation. The guidelines also list coins, cash, travelers' checks, bonds, money orders, gold, and prepaid wallets as covered monetary instruments. Failure to comply will result in seizure of undeclared funds, fines, or criminal prosecution. Additionally, the Bank of Ghana says foreign currency is prohibited from being transported through mail or cargo, and any such funds will be confiscated by the state. According to the Bank of Ghana, the move is aimed at strengthening the fight against money laundering and safeguarding the financial system. For WDR, Nadi Tete, Accra.
In Liberia, the government civil service agency is conducting a nationwide credentials audit targeting all court employees. The exercise, which began on Thursday, was initiated by the newly appointed Chief Justice of Liberia, Yami Kwekwe-Gbese, as part of his commitment to verifying the qualifications and authenticity of certifications held by personnel within the country's judicial system. Chief Justice Gbese emphasized that the audit aims to promote accountability and integrity across the Liberian judiciary. WDR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The credential audit, which is being conducted by the Civil Service Agency, aims to ascertain the legitimacy of academic and professional credentials presented by court employees. According to Chief Justice Gbese, the process is part of his reforms in making the country's justice system more independent. He added that the audit, when concluded, will strengthen the judiciary and maintain public trust.
This audit, I'm very grateful. The process will help us maintain the highest standards of excellence.
For his part, Civil Service Agency Director General Josiah Joka assured that the agency will independently complete the audit vote of personal interest while calling on judiciary workers to cooperate.
I want to assure you that our teams that are deployed here at Central, at the Pinsville Court to take care of all the folks in that bill, at the Ghanafield Court to take care of all the folks, different sets of court employees, will remove them on your behalf.
The ongoing credential audit for judiciary workers is expected to cover all levels of court staff, from clerks and administrative personnel to judiciary officers across all 15 counties of Liberia. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
We'll take you back to the story from Nigeria, where citizens are reacting to the federal government's decision to double the cost of obtaining international passports. The new fees announced by the Nigerian Immigration Service are set to take effect on September 1. A 32-page passport will now cost 100,000 naira or $66, while the 64-page booklet will be issued at $200,000. That's about $133. Well, our guest is migration expert Mary Osato, who weighs in on the matter.
Yeah, we all know that apart from being a travel document, your passport is also your identity. As a Nigerian, this shows that you are a Nigerian. I don't think this should be a luxury. If this is our identity, it should not be something that is too expensive for the common man to get. We understand that the government said they want to do this to improve the quality of the passport. Our concern also is the fact that sometime just last year, the passport price was also increased. This year, it's also been increased. Are we going to get surprised again next year, August or September, with another increment? It's not really easy for the young person on the street. There are people who are vulnerable. There are people who need a passport to travel, young students going to the EU region, the UK, or wherever to get education. And as an advocate of safe, orderly, and regular migration, the push factors are enormous. When you speak to those who have returned from the EU region or wherever as returned migrants or people who have been deported back to Nigeria, they'll tell you that the cost of traveling is too much. That's why they chose the irregular migration routes. But now they'll have more reasons to say, you see, guys are coming to advocate for us to use the safe routes, the safer routes. But now again, the passport has just been increased, adding to the many problems that already have as stumbling blocks to traveling.
You just referenced increment from last year to this year, and possibly there could be increment next year. What do you make of this constant increment?
Yeah. So in terms of this constant increment, can the group in charge of this, the technical group, sit and discuss to say, okay, in the next 5 years, there won't be any increment because one we're doing at the moment, because between last year and now is just too close, and 100% increment or even above 100% for the other one is a bit too much. If they can sit down to say, okay, this particular increment we're doing now is this one would last for the next 5 years or the next 10 years, that would make sense, because coming to increase the passport fee within the space of this announcement is made less than a year even, because I think that one was increased when August last year or September last year, barely a year after, and it's been increased again. It's the technical group, the committee in charge of this review, if they can sit to say this increment we are doing now would last for the next 5 years, or whatever standard of passport we are going to be releasing now will be good for the next 5, 10, 15 years, it would make more sense. We don't want to be caught up with surprises on September morning in 2026.
What are your recommendations to the government regarding the continuous increment in the cost of international passports for Nigerians?
Yeah, so this is our passport, this is our identity. It should not be a luxury. Everybody, every Nigerian who wants to get this should be able to afford this. We should not break our backs or burn our hands because we're trying to get the passport. And now that this increment has come to play, those of us that had passport earlier than this time, we should be jealous when we see the new passport with the new standard. And apart from just increasing this price or the quality of the passport, we want to see that Nigerian passport would grow in terms of its worth or its relevance. I saw the index one time, I've forgotten the number where Nigeria is right now, improve the life of Nigerians, improve the country in terms of its development, so that when we tender this high quality passport somewhere abroad or somewhere, it will be respected. Let our passport have so much value in the international space. Thank you very much.
And just for clarity's sake, the 64-page booklets will be issued at 200,000 naira, which is about $133. That was Mary Osato, our guest. Well, in sport news, Senegal clinched third place at the 2025 African Nations Championship CHAN after dramatic showdown against against Sudan on Friday. The match ended in a 1-1 draw, but Senegal triumphed 5-3 in the penalty shootout, securing the bronze medal in style. This marks another proud moment for Senegalese football, especially in a tournament that showcases home-based talent across Africa. Meanwhile, Bayern Leverkusen forward Victor Boniface was the biggest name missing as Super Eagles coach Eric Chell named the final squad for Nigeria's 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and South Africa. The 23-year-old has had a turbulent summer following the collapse of his move to AC Milan due to medical concerns. Nigeria will welcome the Amivubus of Rwanda at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo on September 6. And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Fali Lusso and Ismaila Kamara for the technical support. Let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms: X, TikTok, Instagram at WDR English, and Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Imo Edet. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Baga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.